Hello everybody, my name is Massimo Candela. I'm a senior software engineer at NTT. NTT is one of the largest global internet provider, and what I do there is I do automation and monitoring of our network. The presentation of today is about monitoring, and in particular is about BGP monitoring, and I will present this tool called BGPalerter. And it is also a bit of a tutorial. So since you are all in front of your computer, if you follow a few steps, you will be able to monitor your BGP prefixes in no time. So let's start. We did this because we needed something to monitor, at least for hijacks, or to get notified if some of our prefixes were losing visibility. And after we added on top of this a lot of new features and a lot of new type of monitoring, but you can also benefit from them because all of this is open source and is released in this GitHub repository here, and it's released under BSD3 clause. So you can just do essentially whatever you want with it. It is a tool that works in real time in the sense like that if something happens to your network, you will be notified in a matter of seconds, and it is extremely easy to use. It is our main goal to make it really easy to use. I will say why. And it will, because basically it doesn't require almost any configuration, and you don't have to collect any data because it uses public repositories. So if you are like operating on the public internet, monitoring your network, in particular monitoring BGP, is a fundamental activity. And monitoring, and this is also a bit of a misconception, monitoring BGP is not only to identify hijacks, so identify who is hijacking your prefixes, but it's especially important to timely identify if you are doing something wrong, because essentially the biggest part of the issues currently that you see online are related to typos or misconfiguration or things like this. So getting notified if you're announcing something that you were not supposed to, or if you just deployed a configuration but something is going wrong and you're losing visibility, that's also really important. And why releasing it open source? Not only because we use a lot of open source, we love open source, but also because the network is composed of a lot of players that they have different level of automation and expertise. They all operate anyway on the global internet, and having tools that they are free to use and easy to use, in the end will improve the overall internet stability, and everybody will benefit from it. So this is an example of what alerts you can get. We all have, many of us having on our phone a channel dedicated to it. And this is the type of alerts you get. These, of course, are just random examples, but just to give you an idea. And now, from this moment, we'll start immediately to see how you can have this, how you can start monitoring your autonomous system and your prefixes. So, the link I gave you at the beginning, where there is the GitHub repository, is where everything is, you can find everything there. If you didn't click the link, you can go and search on Google for NTT BGPalerter. It's the first result that you will find. And if you click on that, you enter in this page, the GitHub repository, and you see this icon here that says releases. And you click on top of this yellow bar, you click this releases icon, and you enter in the release page where the last release is the 124. And there is all binary precompiled. So you will find in the repo the source code and also the compiled version already. So you don't have to compile it. You just have to download and run it. There is also Docker, if you like more Docker, and other possible ways of getting it. But this is what we will use today. So essentially, you download it and you run it. That's all. If you copy and paste this part, you have our monitor up and running. So you download it with wget on Linux, for example. If you're on Linux, you make it executable and you run it. And I can show you easily. So I hope you are able to see my console. If you don't, just let me know. I already downloaded it. I'm on Mac, so I downloaded the Mac version. And what I'm going to do, the first thing is to make it executable. And after I just execute it. And the monitor, the tool is able to recognize that it's the first time that you run it. There is no configuration. It is asking you, do you want to auto-configure it? You say yes. And it's asking you, okay, which autonomous system you want to monitor. So 2914, I provide some example just to see how you have to type it. 2914 is NTT, 333 is RIPE NCC. We will use RIPE NCC because it has less prefixes and the auto configuration is much faster. This question is essentially asking you if there is some part of your address space that is assigned to you but is announced by somebody else. If you don't know what to answer, just say yes. And the last one, it says, do you want to be notified if your autonomous system starts to announce prefixes that we didn't see before? And you say yes also to this question. I think it's really important. The auto configuration will start, is already done, and in a few seconds, the monitoring will start. So the configuration is persist now, so the next time you will not have to do it again, and it's monitoring now. So it is monitoring all the prefixes of RIPE NCC plus the entire autonomous system. And if you kill the application and you run it again, it will immediately start monitoring because the configuration we did before is persist and you don't have to do it again anymore. Okay, it takes usually a few seconds. There we go, it's monitoring. So we kill it now, we go back to the presentation and perfect. So we did that. So now, after you monitor, where do you get the information about the alerts? What happened if something happens in the network? How you get notified? So by default, you go in the logs directory. You will find some files called reports. They will show you things like if there is an hijack, they will tell you this autonomous system is announcing this prefix, while instead it should be this other autonomous system. Things like this. But this is not really an efficient way of doing that. You want something more real time. So BGPalerter by default is able to connect to a lot of other ways of notifying you: email, Slack, Alerta dashboard, which is it's open source and super easy to use and install a visual dashboard, Kafka, syslog, WebEx, or any HTTP endpoint. So with post request to whatever endpoint you would like. And the alerts are going to be bundle and throttle. So if you see noise coming from BGPalerter, probably there is something wrong with the configuration. And we will see how you can improve this. And you also, is important, you can monitor multiple autonomous systems on multiple prefixes, and you can set user groups in a way that some users are notified only for issues related to some prefixes and about other prefixes. Additionally, really important, BGPalerter doesn't produce only the alerts. It doesn't only tell you that if there is an hijack or if there is a loss of visibility or other things, but it also gives you the BGP messages that trigger that alert. So you can see them by connecting on the machine where you have BGPalerter and see the logs, or you can send them directly to Kafka or store them in your big data solution or whatever you want to do. You can do troubleshooting with it or just to persist it as a proof that you have these messages. This is an example of an email notification that you can get. This is the Slack that we saw before. This is the dashboard Alerta I was talking before. And with some color coded, you can do this. It's really easy. You can put it on a wall, and we are working on a tutorial to make this extremely easy. This is the file prefixes.yaml that has been generated by the configuration. And you can see that there is the prefix, one of the prefix monitor, and you can add a description here to in a way that when you receive the alert, you immediately know what you're talking about, which autonomous system is supposed to announce that prefix, or some more than one you can add. If you want to monitor only this prefix, exact match, also the more specific, and also like if you want to ignore it, so if this prefix you don't want to monitor is creating noise, you ignore it, the group user, or if, for example, this exclude monitors, if you have doing an experiment on a prefix, you can, for example, disable some alerting on this prefix. Another interesting part is this path matching part. So you can actually treat IS path like sequences of comma separated IS and do regular expression matching on it. So you can, for example, trigger this alert if it matches this particular combination and it doesn't match this. For example, you can detect scrubbing center, or you can detect if a path is too long, or things like this. It can be really useful. This is instead the example of config YAML that the tool generated. This is all things that are automatically generated by that process before. I show you this because here tells you the list of monitors the tool is doing. There are many more of this. These are just 3 of them. And also the report, so where the alerts will go. So if you go on this config file, there are part of the config file that are commented out. You just remove the comment, and the next time you run it, that module will start. So you will be able to monitor, for example, for RPKI. There is a new monitor RPKI. You can do that. And this parameter threshold min peers, if you have noise on your configuration, this is something you should look into it, because it says before to send me an alert, I want to be sure that at least this amount of autonomous system are able to see the same BGP message. So now, all this is happening, and it looks a bit like mysterious from where the data is coming from. Actually not, because there is like public repositories, and between them RIPE-REAS Live, which is an amazing project. It works in real time, has more than 600 peers worldwide, and basically these peers, they provide their public view of the BGP. And we don't parse MRT, so that's why it's extremely fast, but we get the BGP updates directly from WebSocket, with WebSocket from their route collectors. And if you want to peer with them, this is the link. And if you want to add your own data repository, you can also do that. It's extremely easy to do that. So it is important to specify a thing. The monitoring is done in the application, so the application that you download, and the data is coming from RIPE-REAS or whatever connector you use. No server of NTT is involved, no service of NTT, nothing from it. It's just, I mean, it's just that I work for NTT. So what's next? This is something really new, and I think extremely useful. This will go out in 1 week because we have a code freeze of 2 weeks while we test the application on our monitoring, at least 2 weeks, between 2 and 4, before to release it to everybody. We want to make sure that it's stable enough. But anyway, this is, before it was already there, but it was able to monitor for specific prefixes, only prefixes. And in a week, you will be able to monitor an entire autonomous system for RPKI invalid prefixes announcement and prefixes that they are not covered by ROAS. The second part is optional, so you can just say, just monitor for RPKI invalid. Don't worry about my unsigned prefixes. And this is the type of announcement you can get on Slack, for example. We deployed RPKI a couple of weeks ago, and we are using this tool, and we find it really extremely useful because—
5 minutes, Massimo, 5 minutes.
Oh, this is basically the last slide. So it is extremely useful because essentially you can use it while you are deploying and you are assigning your ROA, because it will let you know if what you sign is correct. For example, maybe you did too short prefix length, and now you're announcing something like, I don't know, you've signed for a /16 and now you're announcing a /24. This is a problem. So it will let you know if what you're announcing is RPKI valid, and also on the long run, after you already deployed RPKI, it will let you know if everything is in sync between the ROAS that you sign and what you start configuring in your network. So I think this is really useful, especially if you are moving towards this RPKI deployment. So I always want to keep an eye on options for researchers, because I also have a lot of fun by doing research, and this tool is able to process the entire RIPE-REAS streaming full speed So more than 6,000 BGP messages per second. We know with really few CPU and memory. And there is a tutorial that I wrote here for researchers. If you can inherit the entire platform and pipeline if you want to do research, and you just decide to code the specific analysis that you want to do. It is, I hope, it's going to help people on that. And yeah, again, this is the source code. Please contribute. I'm happy that various people are already contributing to the source code, and I think this tool can help. I hope this tool can help various operators. So this was the last slide, and if you have questions, that's the moment.
Thank you, Massimo. César, ¿hay alguna pregunta para Massimo?
Sí, gracias Macarena. Thank you very much, Massimo. Tenemos un par de preguntas. Kevin, ¿nos puedes ayudar ahí con las preguntas?
Sí. La primera pregunta viene de Mariano Cabian. This question came in English. Generating generic monitoring rule for AS. Warning, the generated configuration is a snapshot of what is currently announced. Some of the prefixes don't have ROA objects associated or are PKI invalid. Please verify the config file by hand. Voy a decirlo en español. Errando una regla genérica de monitoreo para AS. Atención, la configuración general es una captura de pantalla de lo que se anuncia actualmente. Algunos de los prefijos no cuentan con objetos asociados de ROAS o son inválidos en RPKI. Por favor, averiguar el archivo de configuración manualmente.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good question. Yes, so the auto configuration will use also public data. So it will work if you don't have ROAS for your prefixes. So if you are not yet doing any RPKI, or anyway, some of your prefixes don't have ROAS sign, this monitor will work exactly the same. Will just work. The only thing is that the monitor, this auto configuration, what it does, it just goes online and checks what at the moment you are announcing. Your autonomous system is announcing all the prefixes and also all the sub prefixes and everything. And it will create rules based on that. And after goes on and validates them, doing RPKI validation of them. And if are all of them valid, so all of your prefixes are signed, your configuration is good to go. I mean, there is nothing that you should check. If you don't have ROAS signed, of course, there is no way to really validate if what you are currently announcing is what you are supposed to announce. So it is better if you manually validate them, because if you currently have let's say a wrong state, you will enforce that state. That's the only. So it's just to be more like attentive and say, hey, just double check it by hand, since you don't have ROAS, but it will work. Did I answer your question?
We also have another question from Jorge. Jorge asks, hi, is there a plugin for Nagios that you know of? Hola, ¿conoce algún plugin para Nagios?
Okay, yes. So there is no need of a plugin for Nagios because Nagios, you can use Nagios for two things, and actually also a really good question. If you place this monitor in production, you don't have only to receive the alerts, but you should also monitor that the BGPalerter is up and running constantly. It doesn't crash, or it never happened for now, but you want to be sure that it's connected and working. And if you go in the documentation, there is a part related to how to do that and to use an API. So basically, you enable an API which can be used. There is a HTTP plugin for Nagios, and you can use directly that to automatically configure it. And the same thing, you can do it for the reporting. There are plugins for doing that. So yes.
Okay, from Victor Figuera. Massimo, for monitoring type example, GI hacking, do you have some kind of rule set? Como tipo de monitoreo, ejemplo, en GI hacking, ¿tienes algún tipo de conjunto de reglas?
So the code is public, and there is the hijack monitor that has a series of rules to detect hijack, and let's say more advanced thing can be introduced. So I don't know exactly what, if you have a specific rule. Anyway, yes, there is the monitoring of hijack. It's already there.
Okay, from Pedro Torres. I understood that the app communicates with RIPE RIS with WebSocket. What kind of communication is necessary to use a local BGP seed? Entendí que la app se comunica con RIPE RIS, con WebSocket. ¿Qué tipo de comunicación es necesaria para usar un BGP seed local?
So yes, it communicates with WebSocket, but there are like components that they are called connectors, and these components can connect to whatever you want. So it already has, there is a class, you extend this class, and you have to implement just a few methods that they get the data and transform it in an internal format. So at the moment, there is no, in addition to the WebSocket, there is no other connector, but we created in a way that more can be implemented in the future. So if there is a specific need, first of all, you can contribute to the code, or you can just open a ticket and we will check what we can do.
Tenemos una última pregunta, Kevin, en español, si se la traduces a Máximo, de Diego Aguilar.
Yes, Diego Aguilar asks, bueno, ¿puedo monitorear cualquier AS sin estar dentro de ella? Can I monitor any AS without being inside of it, within it?
Without being, sorry?
Without being within the AS.
Oh yeah. You monitoring. This is monitoring the default free BGPs. So basically, it's all already public data that is already available in a lot of public repositories. So there is no secret whatsoever. You can monitor whatever autonomous system you want. You can monitor NTT autonomous system, Google, whoever. I mean, the idea is that you put yours, so you monitor not only what you are doing, if you're doing something wrong, but also you monitor all your prefixes, which means independently from who is announcing them. So if somebody announces your prefix, you also get notified, not only your autonomous system as origin. But you can type in the auto configuration whatever autonomous system you want.
No tenemos más preguntas, no more questions, Massimo. But for question on our future reference about this, may you share us an email?
Yeah, of course. I can just say now it's massimo@ntt.net. And also on the GitHub repository, I'm really active, and there are issues, and there are you can open pull requests or just question, just go ahead and do it.